This week, we wade into the dangerous waters of civilization beyond Earth rising tide. Jonny Robot gets his retro fanboy on as he chats to Capcom about Mega Man Legacy, and we find out some more about the upcoming Hitman release. This is Player Attack. Hi, I'm Jessica Citizen, and this week saw PAX Prime take over Seattle yet again in a flurry of video games and pop culture. As has become tradition, there were a stack of big announcements, with the biggest one made just before the doors opened. Cliff Bleszinski has taken the wraps off of Project Blue Streak, the game he's been working on at Boss Key Productions for more than a year now. Take a look at the game we now know is Lawbreakers.
Kitsune, Assassin.
Bye-bye.
Breacher, Gunner.
Man, that was embarrassing.
Maverick, Skirmisher.
Bottoms up. You want some more, asshole?
Chronos, Titan.
At this stage, Lawbreakers looks like being a PC-only release, but the team at Boss Key have said they are open to other platforms if the community says they want it enough. Also from PAX Prime, the final piece of story DLC was confirmed for Dragon Age Inquisition. Trespasser forms an epilogue to the original story, kicking off 2 years after the completion of the original game. The Inquisition is needed once more, and you must get the team back together to define your legacy. You won't have to wait long to get your hands on this one either. The new DLC will be available from September 8, and yes, it will require a completed save game if you want to play. Telltale Games was also at PAX, showing off Minecraft Story Mode with the playable beta on the show floor. We were treated to a few tasty tidbits of information about the game too, the most notable being that this is the first Telltale Games series to feature a customizable main character. Is Jessie a boy or a girl? What do they look like? It's up to you, with several different options available in-game. And of course, there's big movie news. Borderlands is the latest gaming franchise eyeing off the silver screen as Lionsgate announces a new project with Gearbox. Father and son team Avi and Ari Arad have signed on as producers. Now, Avi founded Marvel Studios back in 1993 and consistently has tried to make video game movies a thing for many years now. We do not know anything about this film, but we would take this news with a grain of salt right now. Avi Arad is also connected to a Metal Gear Solid movie, a Mass Effect movie, a Twisted Metal movie, and a rumoured film based on Super Mario Bros. So this announcement doesn't necessarily mean that anything will actually make it to cinemas. In other news, yes, Assassin's Creed Syndicate is headed to PC, and yes, you will have to wait a while after the console release if you want to play it. Ubisoft is nothing if not consistent and says that it needs a little extra time to make sure that everything runs smoothly. The Adventures of Evie and Jacob Fry are coming to PS4 and Xbox One from October 23, but they're not hitting PC until a few weeks later on November 19. It could be worse though. If you were waiting for Mortal Kombat X to launch on Xbox 360 or PS3, you're out of luck. NetherRealm has come to the regrettable conclusion that the fighter just wasn't working so well on last-gen hardware, so the planned release has been scrapped. Now, we told you recently about the amazing success that Psyonix has been enjoying with Rocket League, and it gets even better. The game, a sort of hybrid soccer driving thing, has now racked up an impressive 1 million sales on Steam in roughly 6 weeks. Overall, Rocket League has sold well over 5 million copies, thanks to its inclusion in the PlayStation Plus freebie list for July, but it is great to see the PC side of things is stepping up too. A bit of a public service announcement now. If you haven't yet picked up your copy of Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain, carefully consider which platform you'd like to play it on. If you live somewhere that has terrible download speeds or restrictive quotas, you should probably reconsider the PC version. Even if you buy the game on disc, you will still need to download the entire thing. The boxed copy of the game, despite looking like a full release, actually only contains an 8 meg Steam installer, which will prompt you to download the whole 28 gig game. If you've got fast internet and no restrictions, this shouldn't be a problem, but otherwise, maybe you should consider a console release. As a palate cleanser, Riot Games has released a brand new video for League of Legends targeting the Korean market. If you've ever played League, you'll know that it's an incredibly competitive game, the community can be less than friendly, and it's all a lot of bright colours and over-the-top action. Obviously, that is all represented perfectly in this new clip. Yeah, we don't know what they were thinking either, but hey, whatever works. And finally this week, the world said goodbye to one of the most terrifying men in cinema. Wes Craven, the man who created Freddy Krueger, died aged 76 after a long battle with brain cancer. Across his multi-decade career, Craven reinvented the horror genre multiple times, starting with Last House on the Left in 1972, before the arrival of his iconic knife-fingered villain Freddy in 1984's A Nightmare on Elm Street. 12 years later, he changed the horror landscape again with the ridiculously self-aware Scream series, and was recently working on the television series spin-off. His legacy will live on in our dreams. For more information on any of these stories, or to keep up to date with the latest gaming news, head to playerattack.com. But for now, stick around, we've got plenty more still to come.
Whew, Beyond Earth, Rising Tide. As the name suggests, lots of water, I assume.
Well, lots of water. Rising Tide is really exciting for us because it's an expansion that covers the entire game. The addition of water gameplay, the ability to land and build civilizations on the oceans, an entirely new strategic play space, has expanded the game quite a bit. But in addition to that, we're also introducing a brand new diplomacy system, a new artifact system that extends the quests that we introduced in Beyond Earth, hybrid affinities, 2 new biomes, 4 new leaders. This is a huge expansion pack. We're really excited about it.
So this is way more than just water.
It's way more than just water. Don't let the title mislead you. There's a lot here.
So we're still going to have a lot of emphasis on land combat as well?
Yes. So everything about the land gameplay that you saw in Beyond Earth is similar. Some of the things we've had to change and rebalance. The units we've had to rebalance to accommodate the new water gameplay, but it's a seamless experience. So you can start on land and graduate to water. You can land on water at the very beginning of the game and then establish land cities later, or you can play entirely on land or entirely in the water. And each way represents a different kind of play style. The land gameplay is very similar to what you found in Beyond Earth. Water gameplay is much faster. You can gain territory, but you can also lose it just as fast. Everything moves quicker. There are fewer obstacles, but there's a brand new assortment of aliens and resources, and all of the different things you found on land can now be exploited in the water as well.
The North Sea Alliance, led by the stalwart Scotsman Duncan Hughes, recognized the importance of being ready for any situation and fashioned their colony ships to allow for both land and water landings.
So Civ 5's diplomacy is Beyond Earth's diplomacy. We basically took it directly from Civ 5 and put it into Beyond Earth. But in Rising Tide, we've completely replaced it. We found that without the historical leaders that the Civ 5 diplomacy relied on, it just really didn't work for our game. So we decided to write a brand new system that is much more full-featured. It's more of a game in and of itself. And it does 3 things that are pretty important. One is it provides a progression for personality. So you as a player build your Civ's personality as the game progresses. The second thing that it does is it makes very clear the relationships that AI players have to you in the form of fear and respect. So this is very Machiavellian. They can either respect me a lot or they can fear me a lot. Either way, I get what I want. And finally, we want you to be able to wheel and deal, really trade power in a way that you haven't been able to in a Civ before. So it's a very deep new system that we've added to the game.
And what can we expect in the way of like the new affinities you were talking about?
So if you recall, the affinity system in Beyond Earth is sort of the way that you express your civilization's adaptation to the new world. There were 3 branches: harmony, purity, and supremacy. And those each represented one philosophy for adaptation. But what we found was that our players really wanted to mix those together and to play more hybrid styles, or to multi-class, if to use an RPG term.
With the addition of traits comes the opportunity to create mutually beneficial agreements with other leaders. By pledging services to another nation in exchange for their services or political resources, you can further improve your diplomatic positioning. The stronger a relationship is between 2 civilizations, the more impactful their agreements' benefits become. The wisest leaders will be those who use agreements to their advantage.
So we've built that into Rising Tide. You can now play as a hybrid of those affinities, and we've added new upgrade options and new unique units to support that playstyle.
So we'll see actual visual representation of the hybrid style?
Absolutely, and they're not just averages. It's not just the blue guys averaged with the green guys or whatever. They're their own unique look and feel and philosophy, and we really told our artists to go crazy with these, so they're very sci-fi and really cool.
So I can finally have my robot warmongers.
You can finally have your robot warmongers, sure.
And as a game like this, it's one of those 4X kind of games. What's the learning curve for people entering for the first time?
So Rising Tide is an elaboration on Beyond Earth. So there are new systems in the game that you'll have to learn. And if you're a Beyond Earth player, what we really hope that the things you're learning after the new systems are new strategies, because the new systems really do change the way you have to play the game. We like to think of it as analogous to XCOM's first expansion, how that completely changed the way you had to play XCOM. This is very similar. For new players to the Civ franchise, Civilization can be a pretty daunting game to learn, but we've put lots of new tutorials and help into the game to help you onboard more easily.
And I can only assume there's far more tech and buildings this time around as well?
The tech tree has changed in the sense that we've rebalanced where you get affinity and what buildings and things unlock with each technology. We haven't changed the techs themselves too much, but there's been a lot of balancing work, and a lot of the new content is unlocked through the tech tree.
Fantastic. Thank you for your time.
No problem. Thank you.
There is a world beyond yours. Beyond nations, justice, ethics. It never sleeps. It exists everywhere. And once you enter, there is no going back.
The game is called Hitman. It's about Agent 47. He's back in his absolute prime. He's working with Diana in the agency, and he's going to take out high-profile targets across the world.
Victor Novikov's business.
Yeah, thanks a lot, man.
We really feel that the essence of the Hitman experience is this feeling that you can be creative and play around in a large sandbox on your own terms, basically. So now the challenge becomes a little bit different, because we want players to have that feeling. We have fans that come back to us. We obviously we have people in playing our game and giving us feedback constantly, right? And one of the things they tell us is it was one guy who said it like this: the feeling of mastery you get when you know where everything goes in a Hitman level, in a huge level like this, and you can lay out your perfect plan and then you execute it, and it's there. That feeling is unlike anything you can get in any other game. That was what he said, and I think that's so aspirational. And then the question becomes more, how can we help other players get that experience? But I don't think you do that by simplifying the game, because the nature is that the beauty lies in the complexity and the creativity you need to have to master a level. In terms of where the story takes place, that's sometime after Absolution, actually. But what we're doing with the entire universe, let's say the universe in general feels a little bit more mature, a little bit more high stakes. All the targets are a little bit more high profile. And what we said is basically, we need an Agent 47 that feels like he's in his prime, he's at his absolute peak. So we looked at it more from that perspective. and we don't concern ourselves as much about age per se, because at the end of the day we don't want ND47 to turn 89 at some point, you know what I mean? So we sort of felt we would hone in on a point in time in the universe where we create this space, we say, okay, this is the world, these are the players in that world, and in this world 47 is in his prime, he's working with Diana and the ICA, and they're at the peak of their power, because it allows us to do some pretty cool things with, you know, who is he actually going against and what can you do in a level.
Wait, is that a no, Dennis?
Best worst.
Just deny me something? Because I do believe I pay you to manage my career.
We feel in this world we're trying to create here, 47 doesn't really have one place. We have this feeling, and at least in my interpretation of it, it feels almost like he's always in transit. He's always traveling somewhere, and the ICA are pretty powerful, so they will have resources for him wherever he goes. If we have a level and we sort of embrace this feeling that this is a live thing, you feel like you're playing it with a Hitman community. This idea that, you know, let's say in Paris you have a target appearing over a weekend or something like that, and all we give you is a portrait, and this target hasn't been there before. That's something we can do with the new engine, right? There's just a target appearing, and now everyone will have to try to work together, figure out, okay, where is this target, what is the target doing, and then the thing is, obviously, after 48 hours the target is gone again, so there's a little bit of time pressure, and the way you kill your target is the only way it's going to be. You can't replay it. If the target escapes, he's gone. So we expect that, you know, a lot of the super pro players will attack head on, try to be the first, maybe, you know, to actually deal with it. Others will start doing Twitch feeds and so showing what they're doing. And if you're a little bit more like a normal gamer like me, you're probably going to look at some of that stuff and say, okay, I think I'm going to do it like that. But even then it will be exciting, because when I'm doing it, I have this one shot, right, where if it fails, then that will be what it is, or if I succeed, it's just all this freedom. So it's just this feeling, and then if you know, on top of that, you're thinking, okay, but everyone is then looking forward to we're in Paris, and then another level is going to appear. Everyone can start sort of feeling hyped about that, discussing what it will be, and when it goes live, a lot of people will be playing it together, debating, you know, what's going on in the level, what can I do, and we really like that feeling for the game. That's our plan, and we want to see how people play the game and have their feedback on it. And the thing is, it's a live development, right? So we can actually also reflect on that. In Absolution, for instance, there was some feedback on the disguise system. Especially in the beginning, we had to go in and create a patch, and that's something that made us think, hey, we actually want to be able to react on whatever happens in the game, basically. Our ambition is to say we are going to take our legacy, our DNA, and then we want to create the best possible Hitman game out of that. Yeah. And actually, I think we can see a lot of inspiration from a lot of different elements in these games. Blood Money has huge sandboxes, right? And it has a promise that every mission is going to be a hit. That's how it starts. You're there as a hitman, and how you take out your target is what the mission is about. And we really like that idea. From Silent Assassin, we really like the tone. There was a good tone in that universe, sort of a little bit more, let's say things were a little bit more high stakes, and you travel the world, which we also really like. And from Absolution, we actually really like the living world we built. You know, a lot of NPCs talking, stuff we hadn't done before. You could actually listen to what they're saying and try to figure out what's happening in the world. And we also felt we had a game that actually played quite nicely. I mean, between stealth, combat, and controlling the game, that felt like a really good starting point. So it's actually I would say it's the best parts of these games that we try to put together when we create Hitman, right?
I'm Jonny the Robot here for Player Attack, hanging out at the Capcom booth, and I'm here with Ray Jimenez, and we are looking at the Mega Man Legacy Collection. Ray, what is this?
So it's a compilation of Mega Man 1 through 6. It's all the authentic 8-bit games that we released back in the day. this is actually going to be much more than a compilation. What we're really trying to do is, archive and preserve our historical legacy back on those old systems. So it's not just the games, but it's also the context in which they were released. So we have a lot of artwork, a lot of information, a lot of data, a lot of database and museum content that we put a lot of work into. But our goal always was to reproduce these in a way that will instantly remind you of the NES game. So they're extremely faithful. Other than being super crisp, because we're taking the 8-bit graphics and scaling them up to 1080, and they look as crisp as I've ever seen. Aside from that, where the games are going to play exactly like how you remember them. They're going to have all the sprite flicker, some of the slowdown. Aside from blowing the cartridge, it should feel like the real thing.
So as a Mega Man fan who unfortunately spends way more money on art books than anybody ever should, this is the kind of thing for me then.
Oh yeah, so if you're reading our art books, we have a lot of content in there that we had, if you didn't get them, you'll be able to see in here. So it's all in there, the sketches, production art, licensing guides. You might have seen a bunch of it before, but a lot of the fans that haven't seen them, they're going to get a real good kick out of this.
You said it's basically a faithful recreation, so being the kind of guy that can sit there and just knock out Mega Man 2 without blinking an eye, I'll feel perfectly at home?
Oh, absolutely. Every trick that you knew before is going to be there. Every slowdown, every not speed out, but every kind of nuance that you knew, like if you could do a speed run, will all be there. I mean, I have a guy in QA who does speed runs, and he's basically helping me make sure that everything looks right and feels right. It'll all be there, but it's going to look better than you've ever seen it without changing the graphics. It's just crisp. There's no smoothing, no blurring. But if you guys take a look at it, we do have a couple filters just to make it look like an old CRT. You got to really take a look at it. If you grew up playing on a tiny 13-inch CRT with a phosphorus burn-in, you're going to really feel at home on it.
For new people, like new adopters of Mega Man, does it have anything like unlockables, collectibles, or achievements or anything like that?
So as this is kind of like an archive where we want to present you the historical context of everything, nothing is going to be unlocked. So everything is there for you to look at the beginning. But we are adding a lot of cool extras. So, for instance, on the database, it will explain all the characters in the game. I kind of give you a quick background. But say like you wanted to fight Iceman, but didn't want to play the whole game to do it. We'll provide you information on his background, what his weakness is, and you can play him right there. You hit a button and bam, you jump into a quick fight against him, and you can practice that fight. As well as that, we're also having a music player where we have all the music from all the 6 games available to you, and also challenge mode. Challenge mode is really interesting is that we are taking the actual set pieces of the game and kind of rearranging them for you so you can play kind of a new challenge, in challenge mode. So you'll play maybe one section of all 6 games in a row, and it'll be a time attack, and it'll be leaderboard support and replays. So you can get on that leaderboard, you can see exactly how a speedrunner would get through all these different 6 sections of the game. So I think even if you played all these games so much that you know everything front to back, you're going to find some new challenges again. You just find some new challenges there.
And that's about it for this edition of Player Attack. Thanks for watching. Next week, we get a little bit dusty as we chat to Avalanche Studios about Mad Max, out now for PC, PS4 and Xbox One. On the other hand, if you'd prefer something a little bit more strategic, we've got a review of new old-school RTS, Active Aggression, which wears its heritage proudly on its sleeve. In the meantime, you can catch us on playerattack.com. We are on Facebook, YouTube and Twitter. And if you've got something you want to say, send us an email, mailbox@playerattack.com, or just hop on our forums. Till next week, I'm Jessica Citizen, and this is Player Attack.